Safety 365.
Welcome to Safety 365, where our goal is to help you navigate more safely through your daily activities and understand the importance of taking proactive measures to safeguard yourself. I'm Bill Barna. I'm your host, and as you know, I was a cop for like 33 years, a long time grinding the streets. Substitute teacher, professional security consultant, and also taught in the police academy for about 20 years. So I'm going to bring you a little bit of my insight into life and safety in general. Today's show sponsors are Bolo Stick LLC, the door barricade device, and Nova Coffee Company. Not just another cup of coffee, another great cup of coffee. Today we'll be addressing the topic of entrepreneurship safety, and we're joined by the owner of Nova Coffee, John Ramsey. John, great to have you.
Thanks you so much for having me here.
Yeah, man. Hey, John came bearing a bag of swag, which I love. I love gifts. So
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing better than giving back.
Yeah, I like the swag, and I love coffee. I said, as being a cop for 3 decades, I drank a lot of it.
Yeah, that's why when we created our coffee shop, we had coffee and donuts, and we.
Oh, there he goes. Yeah, they put the donut plug in.
We
there.
knew who we would attract, so you know.
But you don't sell donut holes.
No, because we don't do yeast donuts. Our donuts are dropped by a hopper that cuts them out. So there's no.
Lord, you're not back there all night long?
No, not cutting holes.
No? Okay.
On the machine, I am, but not on the.
He's automated now.
Automated, yeah.
John is a big deal down there in Warren, Ohio. You've done a lot for Courthouse Square, though. I really got to say that. It started to grow. And for a short stint, I was right across the way at Coleman, and I'd come over and get some coffee from you, and I loved it. I really did. I thought it was great, and that was the heart of the pandemic too. So,
yeah, that was interesting.
That had to be a tough time.
It was tough. Yeah, it actually changed our business altogether. Before that we didn't focus on food really at all. Pandemic hit, and then when we came out of the pandemic, we had to have another kind of third. Like I like to say, we have 3 businesses inside of one business. So we have the coffee, the donut, and then the food. And so we came out of the pandemic, and takeout food became huge. Cause
I didn't even know you had. Honestly, I didn't know you had food or donuts over there. I was working at Coleman, and I'd see people coming in with coffee. I'm like, I got to run over to Nova and grab a cup of coffee. That sounds good. Then I go in there and I just see this. Your menu board.
Yeah,
is like twice the size of your building. I think it wraps around. And I was just amazed. And then they started bringing donuts in. I'm like, okay, that was pretty good donuts. I got to go back.
That's how we do. We get you.
Yeah.
And that's probably the cop DNA inside of you.
Well, I've got a nose for those
you
things.
Had a nose.
Yeah,
so
I could find that.
The sniffer was working that day.
That in the bar I could usually find. It seems like. Well, hey guys, I've known John for like many years. Even grappled with him at Team Bundy, Gracie Jiu Jitsu, and that was an experience. If you know anything about John, he's a big guy, and
heavy, heavy.
He's heavy on the mat. Pulling guard on him was a tough feat for me.
Well, that's what I do. I make it so you can't wrap your legs around. So that's my secret weapon.
My legs, my arms, anything. I was going for digits, and I was just trying to inflict pain. So, John, what did you do before Nova Coffee?
Oh, boy, my wife calls me a Renaissance man. I feel like I've done a million jobs. I've been a pastor. I've sold insurance. I inspected pipe. I've worked in the grocery business for many years. Restaurants.
A lot of customer service.
A lot of customer service. Yeah, it's.
Well, you're built for it. You've got the personality.
Thank you.
You're a very easy to talk to person. Always a smile on his face. I've never heard you say anything bad about anybody. You're a good person. Not to me, at least.
Yeah.
So
you haven't been around me enough.
Yeah. Well, maybe that's true. I don't know. But so I mean, it seems like you've really, you've experienced life, man. You've tried a lot of different avenues, and what made you say I'm taking a chance and I'm throwing it all in, I'm cashing it all in, and I'm going into this?
Well, this is my second business. My first one crashed and burned pretty good. I owned a repo business for about 8 years, and then 2008 kicked our butts. Like
not so much customer service and repo.
Well, a little bit though.
Talking your way out of physical damage.
It's absolutely what
right.
it is. It's you have to be able to kind of counsel that person as it's like, I'm taking your car and your only form of transportation. So but that crashed and burned, which I personality wise, I wasn't built for that. That was a lot of get home and like, man, what am I doing?
Yeah.
I was selling insurance, and that was kind of same thing. It was I was having rapport with people, which was good. I liked the selling aspect of it, but
Till they had to file a claim.
yeah,
And then they're like, "You son of a gun!
Yeah,
You didn't tell me it wasn't
and
in
I'm
there."
like, you offer it in packages. You tell them, like, I wish you could record the conversations that you have with people, and then they come back and they're like, "Why does it cost?" I tried to get you out of this. Like,
That would be the thing to do. You'd have to put a little video recorder.
Yeah, that's the only way to do it. And but then, so my brother and I were on a trip down to Florida, and he's an entrepreneur to the 100th degree. I mean, he's huge into starting businesses and getting them to work and grow. And I was like, I don't know, what would you do? And he's like, I'd like to do a coffee shop. I think that's what Warren kind of needs, just a little coffee shop. And so as we were down in Florida with my family, we went to this little coffee shop called Donnie's Donuts, and they had donuts and coffee. And my dad loved it. Like, we went every day, walked down there, and got back. And as Logan and I were kind of kicking this around, I thought it went away. And I was meeting somebody downtown to actually look at another business. I wanted to do a convenience store on the square. And I thought people would walk around and buy a candy bar, buy a newspaper, whatever.
Sure.
Something
No, you're
like
right.
that.
You're right.
And then as we were talking, we were in the middle of it, and I don't know if we just got drunk with the idea of starting a business and signed a lease that day, and was like, we're doing coffee and donuts. And
I mean, it's a great idea. People drink coffee.
yeah,
I mean, it's not going away. Coffee industry has just exploded.
It's huge. Yeah, it continues to grow every day as they found out new ways to brew it, as people have really educated themselves.
We didn't have this when I was younger. When I was younger, I can remember there were two types of coffee, with or without cream.
Right.
And that's it.
Right.
And my mom and dad would make coffee on the stove in a percolator, a little steel thing that would obviously boil over, but the house smelled great every morning. Like, you just smelled that thing perking. I don't know, that was my favorite memory.
So we actually, not to get all down a rabbit hole here, but we're in the third wave of coffee, as it's called. First wave is like, you're around the kitchen table with your grandma. She's making instant Sanka, smoking cigarettes,
I drank Sanka.
ripping heaters. Yeah,
sure.
Yeah. So that's the first wave, and then the second wave is the Starbucks Dunkin' Donut wave. It's the same coffee every time you go. It's exactly how they want it to be. And now the third wave is the local coffee shop that uses science and tasting and flavor wheels, and this is going to taste like blueberries, and this is going to taste like chocolate, and it's inside of the bean instead of just being
I just
the same
want
thing.
a strong cup of coffee, John. Don't mess it up for me.
It's the salt and pepper in our hair that says that.
People say, "Do you dye your hair?" I said, "Yeah, I put in silver highlights." Yeah. You know what? I'm just happy to be a part of it.
Yeah, right.
Happy to be this age.
Yeah, me too.
You know what? It's a blessing. All right, before we get too far into it, because John, we're going to talk a lot, and I know we're going to go long on time, but that's okay. I like to start off with something I like to call our safety question of the day.
Okay.
You like that, huh?
I did. That's deep riffs.
It's nice.
Deep.
It's nice. All right, so our safety question today, really easy, and I think because we are both entrepreneurs and share that passion. What percentage of startup businesses in the United States fail within the first year?
I would.
Because you are an educated man, very knowledgeable.
Yeah, I'm probably going to miss this by a mile. I would say 26%.
And he was correct. He missed it by a mile, just a bit outside on that one. About 90% of the startups fail.
Boy.
But you didn't miss it that bad. Actually, 90% of startups fail overall. Only 10% of the startups fail within the first year. So
there we go.
You were close.
I'm in
You
the
were
middle
close.
somewhere.
But across all industries, startup failure rates seem to be close to the same. Failure is most common for startups during years 2 through 5, with 70% of them failing in years 2 through 5.
Oh, interesting.
So I think probably, as you would know, you gained a big amount of capital to get it started. So you're good. You're pretty solvent through the first year. You can weather the storm. But then 2 through 5, you've probably burned through inventory. You're making just enough to replace inventory, but you're not making anything to make your payroll and pay yourself. That's what I'm thinking. That was through inbroker.com.
I believe it.
I don't know. And most startups begin with less than $5,000 in the bank.
Wow.
Is that incredible?
That's incredible. Yeah, that's I'm not sure.
Well, I think probably, and I'll just go through experience on this one, probably because a lot of these startups are home-based, web-based, so you don't have the brick and mortar to attend to. You know, you have to spend money on. I know personally with the Bolo Stick company that I created, I started out with $6,000. That covered my patents, initial marketing, web design, blah blah blah. $6,000.
Boy, that's
Now I swung hard.
yeah.
And I was lucky to make contact. I got a single after first year or first sale. We were solvent, so
Yeah,
we never looked back.
I would say we probably, if percentages were in that game, we weren't too far off from you, just with payroll and, like you said, brick and mortar, electric, new equipment, things like that. Day one, we got lucky because we hit the ground running. It was, I still don't know how we did or do it now.
You got lucky. Well, I mean, you got to think the Courthouse Square was kind of an abandoned area.
Yeah.
I mean, it was hit and miss for businesses down there. So when you went in, I mean, you got a lot of focus to you.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people running around that courthouse.
Yeah. Well, and the courthouse is because we've now, it's kind of transferred into two different, like the courthouse is our Monday through Friday, you know,
Sure.
they keep us going, but our weekends are bananas. I mean, it's people that they like to say it's our treat, so they come down to Nova on the weekends. And
Well, it's a great place to sit down there, inside there. Just to sit inside there and have a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
It's a nice environment. I want to get down there. I keep saying I want to get a picture in front of that ivy wall you have down there.
it's gone.
It's gone?
It's gone.
Oh, I love that.
Now we took it out.
Oh, can I have it? Can I get it off you?
I already gave it to somebody else.
Lord. There we
Sorry,
go.
Bill.
All right, John. Well,
I'll think of you next. Anytime I
off
think
the
of Ivy,
Christmas list.
anytime I think of Ivy, I'll think, you know who wants that? Mr. Barna.
I really liked it. I thought it was a cool feature.
Thank you. Yeah, we did a mural over there to kind of highlight mental health. So
Well, that I can.
yeah,
do
I
that.
didn't want to like trump you right there. Kind of throw that on you.
That was nice.
Make
That
you
was
feel
nice.
bad, but yeah. So we did that.
All right. Well, I tell you what. 70% of the startups we know are launched from home. Why would anyone want to risk the safety and security of being employed to try and defeat such overwhelming odds?
I have no idea.
John, I mean, I worked. Me personally, I was militant in my working environments. I always worked for another company, whether it be a steel mill, whether it be federal housing, or police department. I went to work. I put in my 7 to 3, and I went home. Never had to worry about my health care. That was taken care of. But there was always a desire to say, I just want to do this for me. I'm tired of everybody else telling me where to be, what to do, when to do it.
Mm.
But I had children at home that needed the health care coverage, needed a steady meat and potatoes job, but like you.
Yeah.
You had to have a paycheck.
Well, yes and no. I got a sugar mama.
Yeah. So John, you're just telling me you married well.
I married really, really high
now
up
you-
the scale. So she covers the insurance. Back to the whole signing the lease that day. That was an awkward conversation of calling my wife and saying, we talked about it, but we never talked about it. We signed a lease on a building downtown and we're doing a coffee and donut shop. And she just shook her head, because I've done this with multiple jobs.
I think she's used to you. She just kind of knows what you're going to do.
Idiot. But
yeah.
I think that goes, and when I think starting a small business, or why would somebody do it, for me, I love the risk. I get tired of reading business books from people that started doing
Watching Shark Tank.
started watching Shark Tank, and they did one little thing, and next thing you know, it's and I'm like, it's got to be out there for me too.
It's possible,
Right.
and that's I think so many people are self-defeating when they think about starting their own business that it's just too much out there. It's just overwhelming odds. I can't do this. How am I going to? I don't know enough about this. You're probably a lot like me, or I'm like you. When I started a business, it was I'll learn it as I go. I'll figure out what I need to know.
100%.
There are people that
100%.
started businesses way before Google. We are so fortunate we can get the information we need. So to do what we need to do.
It's trial by error for me. It's more error than anything. We started out with the wrong donut machine. We started out making the wrong donuts. We started out making the wrong dough. Like we had a friends and family preview, and I cooked all these donuts, and like half of them were raw. So we have friends biting into donuts, and it's gooing out. And I'm like, what did I do wrong?
But it's jelly filled? No, I'm sorry,
it's
John.
not,
It's not jelly.
It's not jelly filled.
That's just dough.
That's definitely dough. So,
Yeah.
you know what? sign this waiver. We're not open. You didn't buy it, so if you die, it's on you.
It's on you.
No,
Yeah,
it's
you'll
just
go
what
to
it is.
another line of work.
But
so,
it's just figure it out as you go. I mean, we took a jewelry store and turned it into a pretty much full-fledged restaurant.
Yeah, it's outstanding. I tell you, and the food there is good as well. So if you're stopping down for lunch, breakfast sandwiches too, right?
Yeah, brunch is our sweet spot. Breakfast sandwiches and toast is just that's what we live off of basically.
That's awesome though. That's when people spend the money.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And that's what you want to do. Like we gave the three. Like I said, we have the three businesses inside of one. So if we can get a customer to hit all three of those, we succeeded. So
you've done well. You've done well.
Thank you.
All right, before we go too far, let's get into our next segment. I like to call "You Don't Know What You Don't Know."
It's really neat that you have a person come out and play that live behind us.
It's cool. Yeah, Aerosmith wasn't available, but I got the next best thing over there.
Pretty good.
That shows you how old I am, right? So, you don't know what you don't know. We'd just like to bring up some facts about the topics we're talking about to kind of open up some eyes. How many people actually start their own businesses? In the U.S., approximately 55% of adults have started their own business at some time. So 1 in every 2 people has attempted a small business, whether it be a lemonade stand or a coffee house.
Yeah.
About 26% of the adults in the United States have started at least 2 businesses. I guess I'm part of that. I actually started 3.
There you go.
Back in the day, and I was just kind of what was the taste of the day, and when MMA became popular, I got into that, and I started doing black and blue fight gear.
Yes.
And selling fight gear apparel. And then we upped it and started another company called Fight Cage LLC, and we
I remember that.
We manufactured MMA fighting cages and
I
sold them
remember that.
internationally.
Yep.
Actually, we did
Yep.
that for about 6 years. Then I went on the bolo stick, which was probably my best invention ever, and
Now you have Safety 365.
and Safety 365. I
Boom.
mean, we're gonna spawn. We just keep spawning.
I think that's what you have to do. I think when your personality is built, mine, yours, it's constant. What's the next business?
Yeah, you never stop looking.
It's like having kids. Yeah.
If you're content, then you're sedentary and you're just waiting for the next thing to happen.
Right.
I don't know, John. I'm a little bit older than you probably. I always tell people, I said, 2/3 of the sand in my hourglass are gone.
Yeah.
It's gone. So now I need to live that last third and really do the things I wanted to do. I've taken care of the family, taken care of all the necessities, gotten to a point in life where it's time for Bill to go out and do what Bill does, and make ourselves happy, make others happy, and treat everybody good. But I can go on and on with that. But anyways, I just think you got to keep trying. Try.
Right.
That's the whole thing. Small businesses in the United States make up 99.9% of the businesses in the United States, with 31.7 million small businesses compared to 20,139 big businesses.
That's huge.
That is incredible. So
Yeah.
we've got so many people doing their own thing and making this economy swell.
It's neat because when you're in the small business world, you feel empathy for the next small business, so you want to help them, and they want to help you.
And do you get people coming to you saying, "Hey, I want to start a business doing this. What do you think?"
All
I
the
don't know
time.
how to go about A, B, C.
All the time, yeah.
Yes. And if you're like me, I'm like, I'll tell you everything I know,
100%.
whether right, wrong, or different, where I failed,
Yeah.
whether it's creating a website or it's got to be formulated a certain way for the Google SEO to pick up on it. I mean, I didn't know any of that stuff.
Yeah, me either.
And then you find people through word of mouth that do good at those things.
Yeah.
We can't do it all.
No.
We wear enough hats during the day
No.
anyways. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not telling you anything.
You're exactly right. It's one of those. When we started, it was well, what can you do good? What can I do good? Because my brother and I started this together. I guess I should have said that. And I've since bought him out, but
I didn't know that.
I
Oh.
bought him out, so I'm
You're the full-fledged owner.
something like
It's
that.
all on you now.
Something like that. Yeah,
It's on your head.
Even more scary. But
Here, you can have this. I'm kind of a big deal, he said.
yeah. But that was the thing. Is it was like, okay, well, we can't do this, and this very good, so you have to hire it out. And then
Right.
you have to bite the bullet. You have to pay that paycheck. You have to, the biggest thing that we did was we hired a bookkeeper. And
That's huge.
It wasn't expensive. I mean, it's more than we wanted to spend because you're starting out. You got
Right.
a couple $1,000 and every penny's counting. And,
Yeah.
But it was the greatest thing that we ever did was hire a bookkeeper. She still works for us. 6 years later, she's still working for us. And,
Well, that's what you're beating the odds.
and I know, yeah.
You're beating the odds, and thank God for that, man.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
that's what it's all about. All right, well, throw this at you.
Go
What's the average age of an employed business owner?
Employed business owner. I'm mid-40s, I'm saying.
Spot on. 44 years
There
of
it is.
age.
That's right.
How old were you when you decided Nova Coffee?
39.
So you beat the curve.
Yeah.
You beat the curve. But you just had a sugar mama, so it
I
didn't
did
really
have
matter.
sugar
You
mama,
just
it
keep
didn't
throwing
matter.
darts at the wall,
that's
whatever
exactly what
stuck,
it is.
man. Yeah.
1,000%.
Yeah.
1,000%.
Okay. The most common ethnicity of business owners in the United States is white by 71%, followed by Hispanic or Latino, and Black or African American. Business owners are most in demand in Memphis, Tennessee.
Interesting.
Why?
Yeah,
Why?
that's interesting.
Why would that be? I don't know. I'm asking because I throw my hands up. I don't know.
I wouldn't. Maybe it's available space. Maybe it's.
Is it the popularity of country music starting to go mainstream? Are we trying to get back to good roots? And everything's kind of growing in Memphis.
I mean, their barbecue's great.
I like to eat.
I like to
I
eat
think
too.
I didn't get this size looking at it. I can tell you that.
That's right.
So, what I also found through CB Insights, there are 1,000 unicorn companies in the world. Now, I'd never heard this term before. Do you know what a unicorn company is?
I don't. I would guess it's maybe where it just works. I don't know.
Well, yeah. I mean, kind of. Unicorns are another term for successful startups with a valuation of $1 billion.
1 billion with a B. Whoa.
Billion.
It ain't coffee.
There were, yeah, that's crazy. Compare this to 2013, where only 39 companies in the world could be classified as unicorns.
Wow.
I'm not I've never owned a unicorn company.
That's not. Everybody thinks that the bolo stick.
Yeah,
is a unicorn. No?
It's just because I married well.
Yeah.
I've
same
got a
here.
great wife and a great family.
That's
and
the
great
unicorn.
friends. And that's
As people would marry guys like you and I. That's the unicorn.
We have a horseshoe somewhere, and we're not letting go of it. That is the truth. Well, what are the risks when you start out? Let's just face it. You're going to go out and do your own business. What are the risks?
Well, we actually had to put houses on the line.
Ooh.
So yeah, there's a risk. So you got a house on the line. You got all your savings is gone. It's put in there.
John, that's monumental.
Yeah.
Like when I started my idea for Bolo Stick, I thought, hey, this is going to be a great idea. I said, but I'm not going to venture any of my my family's money. So as a police officer, I would work any side job I could get my hands on, and that money went into a little pot until I got that magical $6,000.
Yeah.
And I'm very conservative in that realm. My family, I didn't want to take out of their pockets for my silly ideas. I didn't know what was going to fly. So I was fortunate there that I didn't have to take that big a risk. And again, my wife and I had both previously worked in public employee jobs, so we weren't making a lot of money, but we had steady money. That was good. So yeah, I mean, you really went out on a limb. Wow.
Yeah, we did, and we
Total respect.
Total
respect.
My dad gave us some money, and was like, "Don't, the whole dad,
Don't lose it.
Don't worry about it. Don't lose it though. Don't worry about it." And then we have a silent partner. I have a silent partner now, just me, that owns a percentage, and he was another.
Does it get
another
royalty?
giver. Yeah.
Perpetuity.
I don't know. What the
I
difference
watch
is
Shark
between all
Tank.
that is,
They throw these big things.
Those
out.
words, I don't have any clue what it is. I write him a check every once in a while.
he gets a
about
check
it.
on the regular.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, when we look at it, what are the risks? You go out there and be your own entrepreneur. I mean, we talk about entrepreneur safety. Well, the safety is you don't want to lose the safety of your home. How you're sleeping every night.
Yeah, I mean, it's really just the physical thing. Like reputation, I don't care. You can call me a failure. I don't, because at the end of the day, I'm a good dad and I'm a good husband. Well, that's not a failure.
And you're right, and that's the most important thing in the world. But it goes back to our jiu-jitsu days. I remember Coach Bundy saying to us, "Fail is your first attempt in learning.
Yeah.
If you don't fail, you never know.
Right.
The best lessons are learned by losing.
Every time.
Yep.
Every time. Yeah. If you're constantly winning, it's not. You have nothing. I think you make up you make up issues if you're constantly winning. So when you're failing, you're learning, you're creating.
There's a
you're
reality
coming
to
out.
why you're climbing up.
Yeah,
Yep,
I think so. And it's hard to climb. You know, your legs hurt. You know, you're carrying backpacks and everything else. So like it's the same thing in business. If you're climbing, you're getting your butt
Yeah,
kicked,
well,
but in a good way.
Evil Knievel said you're never a failure as long as you keep getting up.
Yeah, well,
So
yeah,
he did it. He should know, right?
I would
Yeah.
say so.
So yeah, we look at this. You know, you're putting all your money on the line, your family's money on the line. There's a huge financial risk. You know, these funds to launch a business are either in the form of loans from investors, your own savings, or funds from family.
Yeah,
And
we
that
had all
family
that.
money is the yeah. I mean, you hit the gamut. You check all the boxes.
We ran the cycle on that one.
But you truly had skin in the game.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was a risk that you were willing to take. You know, business plan. You had to create a business plan. What did you know about business plans?
Nothing. And the bad thing was we had met with some people to talk about the business, and they had us write a plan, and we went in and they destroyed our business plan.
Great.
And I'm like, dude, I just spent
I spent 2 weeks on
literally,
that, yeah.
yes, literally. Like I was selling insurance. I apologize to my boss, and I'm writing the business plan while I'm selling insurance. And so
On his break.
and you have no idea. Not on my break. Come on. And you have no idea what they want numbers. Well, what are you going to do in a year? Yeah, I don't.
How do you know? I haven't
I
even
don't
had
know
business yet.
exactly.
I don't know what I'm doing in a week.
I have no idea. So we would go in and talk to these people, and they would just rip our business plan apart. And then, like, we were told numbers, like they would come up with statistics, and it's like, those statistics cannot be right. And they're telling us how much Starbucks is making, and we're like, you're so far off with those numbers, it's not even funny.
Oh,
So
yeah.
then we would have to leave and go kind of Google some stuff, and then we got a book, and I forget who it's by, but it's called The Evolving Business Plan. And it basically is running business without business plan. Because like, I'm 6 years into this. I don't know if you ever had to do a business plan or not.
I
Is
did.
it anywhere near what, like, our business plan is?
I'm sorry. You know what? I've also gone to college for 6 years and got 3 degrees and blah, blah, blah. And what I found out was, man, I'm just putting numbers in boxes and
Yep.
filling out the required amount of paperwork to put in front of you so that you can put a stamp on it and say, move to the next phase.
Right.
And your business plan's a lot the same. I mean, I think, you know, people that can do the analytical part of it see it differently.
Right.
You and I are doers. We're hands-on, put our hands inside of something and make it work. I don't know how the numbers line up to that.
I don't either. And that's the thing is, it's like the business plan is not the foundation of your business. It's maybe the roof. I don't know. And maybe the shingles. Because it's you get in there, and once you're in there, it change. Like, you cannot. And I've known people that have done business plans, and like, I got to stick to this business plan. And it's like, you're gonna.
No,
you're
you
gonna
have
crash.
to evolve.
You have
to pivot and move every
instant-
step of the day.
The instant you open, your business plan has completely changed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know that. Well, I didn't know I could buy the cups from over there and get them
Right.
cheaper. Well, I was buying them there because Joe told me to buy them
Well,
there.
and when you're in retail and you're selling something, people, that all change. It all swings. It's different. So you're like, you start out selling, you know, whole milk in your coffee, and then it goes to almond milk, and then down the road you're at oat milk, and then your oat milk is, you know, for
How many SKUs do you have?
right. And that is 3 times more expensive than whole milk, and so now your numbers are, and then you go through a pandemic, and then after the pandemic, now everything
Pandemics,
is
that's
5,000
just
times.
something. Yeah, forget about the business
But now
plan
we're more
now.
expensive. So the business plan is, it's not a foundation. You just got to let that thing evolve, and maybe have it just to know I can do this because I wrote
Put it in a frame, hang it on the wall, just like your business certificate, you know, and
then
be done with
shoot
it.
flaming arrows at it.
Well, I mean, again, you talk about the pandemic. You also have to weigh the market risk.
Right.
And if I go out there, what's going to affect my product or service? There's ups and downs in the economy and new market trends daily. If the economy slumps, people are less inclined to buy non-essentials. Bam, I read that, and I said, COVID-19.
Mm-hmm.
Let's look at 2019, 2020. And having been across the street from you, working there for a little bit, a short stint, your business had to take a hit
Yeah.
because people aren't down there. We're working remotely. The courthouses aren't seeing the people they used to. The jails aren't seeing the visitors. The businesses down there aren't seeing the traffic they were seeing.
Yeah.
Yours depends on that. because people aren't leaving their house in Bristolville
Right.
to drive down to Nova. I mean, some might, but it's not going to be an everyday thing.
100%.
So you had to pivot there and say, the heck with what the business plan says. I've got to jump over and we've got to do
100%.
something different.
Yeah, and again, it's so much of business is luck. We had been saving to start a second location, and then the pandemic hit, and we were I was the guy that was, we're just going to ride through it. We're just going to be open and ride through it. And then next thing you know, like people that we respected as small business, they were closing.
Right.
And I remember we were sitting there it was Easter Sunday.
You're waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Yeah, and we were sitting there at my mom's, and my brother and I just looked at each other and we're going, is this really happening?
Did you look at your wife and say, well, have you considered where you want to live next?
I couldn't make eye contact with her. But it was...
You're going to make it.
My dad, or my brother had saved and saved and saved, and we had, thank God, enough in there. And we were closed for 8 weeks, and we went back to work because I didn't know what else to do. Like, I didn't know what else to do. Like,
We'll deliver coffee. We'll
yeah,
set it on your doorstep.
that's what we did. We bought a delivery car. So we went out and we got a little delivery car, and we told our staff, those of you that want to come back, come back. We went and we'll try to make it together. And it was community wide. It was unbelievable because like everybody is freaked out, and they're ordering. All we did was takeout. So you would come in and take out, or we would deliver it to you. And we had local people tipping $50, tipping $200.
Yeah, I saw a lot of that.
Guys coming in and buying $1,000 worth of gift cards, and I'm like, they'll never use that. That guy doesn't even
He's helping you.
He's helping us.
He's helping
he doesn't
you.
even
But you know
like
what? There's a lot
coffee.
of people who were going through the same thing, and they were happy to do that for other people.
100%. And that's where, like, and again, back to that small business being 90% of the businesses or whatever it was, that's where it's neat. That's the neat part of it is people coming in and yeah, it hit a hit, and there was government set up some stuff for us to be able to kind of.
There was a little money to be had.
There was a little money to be had.
I mean, it was little. I mean,
It was
to some people it was big money, but
to some people,
to a business,
yeah.
it was a drop in the bucket, but it helped.
But it was smart because it was covering payroll, and that's who we cared about was our employees. Like there were some of them that didn't come back; they just stayed on unemployment, and that's all good. That's them.
Unfortunately, that's probably the majority of the people right now still.
But most of our people came back, and our baristas especially, because they missed the making drinks and they missed drinking coffee every morning for free.
Yeah, well, yeah. I was actually seeing if you had any openings.
Yeah, well, we did a couple hours.
Just as a coffee drinker, do you have that title down there?
I don't. We just talked about you're drinking Sanka at the table.
I'll drink anything. I really will.
You can come down.
If it's cold,
I'll just give you a free one.
All right. So, when we're looking at this, you don't know what you don't know. The risks, the financial risks, the market risks, there are competitive risks. I mean, Starbucks, Dunkin' Donuts, Joe for the Road at that time, they were all over the place. Seattle's Best or whatever. Everybody had a coffee place somewhere with deeper pockets, doing the same thing you're doing. So there was a lot of challenge. And I'm just we're talking in the coffee genre right now, but in general, you have to look out there and say, if I'm going to be an entrepreneur, I have to know who's in my neighborhood doing the same thing. We talked about reputational risk. Listen, I never worried about my reputation at that point. I'm going to be the guy that if I failed, he's a guy that tried his hardest. He didn't make it.
I ain't going to make it look good.
And he's going to
fail good.
I'm going down with a bang.
That's right.
But he did his best and went on his way. Also, as an entrepreneur, you got to look at the fact that you assume a lot of liability.
Yeah.
People don't realize that liability is huge.
Huge.
36 to 53% of small businesses are sued every year.
Ooh.
It's around the corner. It's around the corner.
Yeah.
Well, don't forget the lady that had a McDonald's coffee and spilled it on herself and sued because it didn't say it was hot.
Right.
We're a very litigious society, so expect to get sued. 43% of all small businesses are threatened with a lawsuit. 45% are currently involved in litigation. 90% of all businesses will experience a lawsuit some point in their last lifespan. So since you are in a walk-in type of place, you have slip and fall issues, improper maintenance, negligent security. What are you doing for the vagrant that comes in off the road and starts? I mean, John's a big guy. I'm not worried he'll handle it. But if they threaten other customers. This all comes back to you.
It's huge.
It's
yeah.
a deep pocket theory. We're not suing the guy that did it. We're suing
Yeah.
you because you should be able to foresee this. So there are a lot of risks if you want to be an entrepreneur. And I mean, right down to the fact if you hire somebody. We're in a hiring crunch right now where nobody wants to work. So you're taking the best of the worst and hoping it works because there aren't people putting in applications. So if you overshoot somebody's background, and just gloss over and say, it'd be good enough, and they do something crazy, it's coming back to you. Again, deep pocket theory.
Right.
And then it's up to you to train them.
Yeah, it's a hands-on. I mean, you have to be that's where, like, I think my belief in, like, the safety of all that litigation, everything is just being present. You can't.
The cat's away, the mice are going to play.
100%. And it's so hard though because you're already there a million hours. You get there, 4:30, 5 o'clock.
Oh, you don't work just 7 to 3, like an 8-hour shift?
And that's funny because, like, our hours are 8 to 2. And people are like, you got to stay open later. You got to stay. I'm like, no, I don't want to.
This is somebody from the outside,
yes,
not knowing what they're talking about. They're just coming in and buying the cup of coffee.
But if you're present and you do stuff that is gonna helps you in the long, like our floors, like you brought up, like the slip factor, like our floors, we went to Ryan's flooring out in Austin Town.
Non-slip floor.
Non-slip. He goes, this tile is non-slip. He goes, you can pour, like, not oil, but you can have, like, completely wet and you won't slip on it. And knock on wood, we paid extra, but we knew we paid
for that
factor because if the litigation comes, we can go back and say
only under pressure when you're negligent. If you know that there's a risk and you don't do anything about it,
100%.
You're negligent.
And then you have to sit there and say, this is why I have insurance. This is why.
Yeah,
I
file
pay.
that claim.
File that claim,
and then see what your insurance rates go to.
I got sued. I got sued when I did repo, and
You understand?
I understand.
That's why he went on to another business.
Well, no, that was a little one. That was a small one.
Well, we've covered a lot of different risks. If you're thinking about being an entrepreneur, there are a lot of risks out there, and we'd be happy to talk to you personally on these. I'm sure in depth if you contact us. But I've got to move along. I know we're running long on time again because you're easy to talk to. Brings us to our next segment we like to call Reaction Time. Okay, John, I have to say this again. About 90% of startups fail. 10% fail within the first year. And most of the startups, 70% of them fail within years 2 through 5. Makes you wonder why anybody would want to be an entrepreneur. I don't know. There's so much stress, worry, fear of failure. I want to get inside your head. Your advice to those considering a startup.
Well, Zig Ziglar said, you're going to make more money if you work for someone else. Always. If you're a small business owner, you're going to make more money if you work for somebody else because you're the highest tip of the spear. You understand what it is. I think it is to do small business is to have something of your own that you can look at and say, I did this. It comes back to the pride factor.
Legacy.
It is. It's
legacy.
It's a legacy. It's having your kids say, yeah, my dad might not have been good at it, but boy, he tried.
He tried
his best.
So even in downtown Warren, I look at the Saratoga restaurant.
Oh, yeah.
Been there, 100 and some years?
Love them, yeah.
I mean, they've been there forever.
And
they just kept doing what they do.
They do what they do good, and they do it how they do it, and they'll be there for 100 more.
And they've changed things from day one, I'm sure.
100%. Their hours change.
To get to where they're at.
Yep. And they do catering, and they have all their irons in the fire, and they do it excellent. And they were one of the ones that from the get-go, like we were like, oh, you're the new guy on the block, and the whole competition factor, kind of what you talked about.
I don't think you get that. From small businesses like that. I think small businesses don't look at it as competition. They look at helping each other.
100%.
You know what? You're going to have things that we don't have, and that's just going to complement what's going on down here.
Right, and it's the saying is that competition breeds excellence.
Yeah,
and it really does because when you get something new and they say, like we just had a restaurant open right next door to us, phenomenal. They're great.
124.
Yeah,
something.
124 downtown.
Okay.
So they just opened up, and you know, as a small business owner, and you're like, oh no.
Actually, John, you know what? I'm eating there tonight.
Are you?
I am. I really.
That's good.
Yeah,
That's
we have
awesome.
Some friends of ours have invited us to dinner, and we're going down there to 124 downtown.
Yeah, that's great. And I'm excited. This is now, John of year 1 or 2 in Nova, I would have been freaked out. Like, they're going to open lunch. They're going to take it all. They're going to crush us. But when competition breeds excellence, now you sit down and you look at your menu and you go, well, they do this, and it's better than me. So I'm either going to have to do it better than them.
I got to up my game.
Or I got to take it off. You got to up your game.
Right.
Now you're buying.
Well, we don't offer that.
maybe our building isn't as clean as a brand new building. So guess what? We're cleaning next week. We're getting it all clean. We're getting it to where, you know, one of my big things I've been harping on, I've always harped on, is welcoming customers in, welcoming customers out. Like, thank you for coming in.
Awesome. Well, when you add personalization, you're going to. So that's one of the things. So John says, hey, competition breeds excellence.
Yep.
So embrace the competition. If you're in a small business or you're thinking about small business and you get competition, embrace it. It's only going to make you, you know, iron sharpens iron, right?
100%. Yep.
So it's only going to make you better at what you do.
Right.
And then you add that personality factor in there.
Right.
Be present. Let
So
people
now-
know that they're supporting you.
100%. And they're all, and then like, just like you just said, and it's a compliment. Oh, I went over and had lunch at 126, I think it is. I can't remember.
124.
124.
I think
Okay.
it's one.
I went
for
and
some
had, I
reason
went and
I'm
had lunch
thinking that, yeah.
at 124. I supported this small business. Let me grab a coffee and a donut on the way out.
Yeah.
And so now, instead of saying, "Oh no, competition," you're not, because if you're doing it right, you're going to continue to. Plus, now you're complementing each other. So we have Weston, Maine, and we have us, Saratoga. You know, Noodle Fun just opened up. We have 1 million people that come and study, and get a cup of coffee, and then go down to Noodle Fun for lunch.
Right.
So now you have the square, and everybody's biggest complaint now is, I can't find parking. I can't find parking.
Yeah, you're going to open up a parking lot
Which
somewhere?
is fantastic. Oh, there's a parking deck. You can walk a little bit. You walk to go to the Indians games. You go to an Indians game, you got to walk a half mile to get to the
Well,
stadium.
not anymore. They don't even have
The Guardians.
Indians
Oh my
games.
gosh!
You did it. You did it.
Can we
But I
beat
mean,
that
John,
out?
you're telling people, take the risk.
Yeah.
Spend the time. You're going to spend a lot of time.
Prepare for
you
the
know,
risk, though.
prepare for- well-
you have to prepare for the risk. There's
A lot of it you can't foresee, so that's why we're trying to put it out
You're
there
right,
for them.
but you can't you can't say, I cook a good steak at home, and then say, I'm going to start a steakhouse.
Right.
You can't. You
Totally
have to.
different.
You have to maybe make a steak, and then maybe take it to, 20 of your friends, and then maybe say all 20 show up at the same time, and then you have to cook all that steak to all different Now it's a different story.
Sure.
So
sure.
now
You're a short
maybe
order cook now.
maybe I'm not. My good steak is not as good when I'm serving it to 20 of my buddies, and your buddies are going to let you know.
Well, I can build one car really well, but I can't build 10,000 of them as
Exactly.
good.
Exactly.
So, all right. So, we talked about, reaction time. Where did you go to get investors or loans or saving? You're using your savings. 82% of the startups are self-funded.
Wow.
It comes right out of people's pocket. Well, like you say, you put your house on the line.
Yeah, you do it all.
So you're self-funding it. I mean, you may have got some help somewhere else, but you're going to have to find out where the money's going to come from. Look at what you have. Look at what's available to you. Look at loans. And one of the things I got to put out there to people is utilize the agencies that are out there to help you. The Small Business Development Center at Youngstown State University does great work. If you've got a business idea and you're thinking, hey, I want to make it a business to succeed, go see them. I went there with bolo stick, this chintzy little metal thing that I had. Wasn't quite sure how I was going to scale this to do anything with it. They sat me down. They said, well, you got to write a business plan. You got to do this. You have to do this. You have to do this. And they have helped me so much.
Right.
And still continue to. I still go there.
They helped us also to research the area.
Yeah, who's in your area?
Get the traffic count. What's your, like, who lives in your city? Like a breakdown of race, a breakdown of age, a breakdown. Because in all honesty, a 65 retired person from GM is not going to want to come spend $8.50
No,
on
because they're
a
going to buy a
coffee.
can of Folgers
Exactly.
and make it themselves.
1,000%.
Yes.
And that's where
Where's your expendable income?
those incubators and those businesses, little business places that want to help, and the libraries, and those people are so eager to hear your stories, hear your ideas.
Oh, they're ready to jump on it.
Exactly.
Yeah, they
They want to invest. They're kind of like, how much do you need to get going?
I think you also have to take account. What training do I have that's going to make me successful? For you were customer service for years and years and years, so this was easy for you to do the customer service because you've got to do the meet and greet. You've got to make it a friendly place, make people want to come and help me out. That was good. The business side of it, a little different. Your website, social media, time management, always a factor, especially as a family man. The thing you never want to lose is your family.
Right.
You're passionate about your business, but you have to be able to separate the two and say, hey, listen, I can spend 16 hours a day down here, but the quality hours I have to spend here at home.
Right.
Because that's what's going to get you through life.
And you can make that. That's what I've said is, you can make a good living doing, being a family man and doing a small business. If you didn't have a family, you could be uber successful.
Right.
Because there's no you. If you're,
you can't give anything 100% of your time.
Right.
If you're pulled in different directions.
Right. And that's where I think people mess up, because they kind of get going too far into the business realm, and then, oh crap, I've got to go back and try to fix my family, fix my marriage, fix my kids, and it doesn't work.
No.
So then you now your business is failing because you're not there trying to mend over here, where if you sit down and say, okay, I'm going to give 8 to 10, 12 maybe hours of the best hours that I have to my business, and then my kids are going to get the best hours.
You find yourself waking up a lot earlier, don't you?
Oh, a lot earlier. And I'm not a morning guy. It's so funny to tell people that, because I'm like, I wake up to do donuts.
I sell coffee.
Yeah, like last Friday night, I did an all-nighter because we had like 30 dozen donuts going out Saturday morning. So I started at like 11 o'clock at night, and I worked till 8 a.m. But it's fine.
You make it work.
Make it work.
You make
every
it
time.
work. We get inundated with orders.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like I'm under a waterfall and it just never stops. But you make it work. You figure out a way. And then when it's done, you're like, that wasn't so bad.
It wasn't so bad. But in the time, boy, I was like, I'm making donuts at 2:30 in the morning. I'm like, this is ridiculous. We're selling these for $9 a dozen, and I'm trying to do the math in my head, and I'm too tired. So
yeah. What's the key to being successful, John? One last question for you. What is the key for being successful?
Define success. You have to see what your success is.
What is success to you?
Exactly. That to me.
Yeah, that's a direct out question to you. What is success to you?
To me is maintaining in the black. So don't try not to take loans. I know that you have to take a loan sometimes, to take a risk. But when that business is up and running, you stay in the black as much as you can. Make sure your employees get paid. 100% make sure your employees get paid, and then the rest is just gravy. Success to me at the end of the day is that I did it. It doesn't even have to be well. It doesn't even have to be.
Just leave a legacy.
Leave a legacy, man. I don't. That's what I said to somebody the other day. I said, man, I'd really like to make a little bit of money at this place, and they said, you won't, but your kids will. And I said, man, that's kind of cool,
But that's what we're supposed to leave it for the next generation.
And that's what maybe it's not them running it, but it might be that I can sell it one day, and
what you did with it is going to help benefit them as well.
Yeah, and but even that it frees up so much for me success wise is like I said, to be a good dad. I think I got about probably 6 years left with my kids in my house. They're growing and doing their thing, and I want my daughter to still text me daddy, at even when she's in college or even when she's married with kids, and I want to be able for my kids to know I can depend on dad. He was a hard worker, he worked his butt off, but I can depend on dad, and that's success.
And I think you're laying that groundwork for him, John. I really do.
Thank you.
I think that's what our goal is. We take care of ourselves, take care of our family, and do what we got to do, and you're happy doing it.
100%, and that's why that's where people. I think you have to define what success is before you start a small business, because you'll never be happy because you're not, and that's one of the things that I really stinks about doing small businesses. You never have a boss tell you, hey, you're doing a really good job, and you sit up in your office and you're like, I've got 13 employees, we're doing great, our numbers are good, and nobody has said, John, you're doing a good
John,
job.
you are doing a good job.
Yeah,
look
but-
at yourself. You've got
No,
a
I
smile on
know.
your face.
Right.
Your family is
And I
fed. You didn't
know
lose
all
the
that.
house.
Not yet.
You just opened up a second location.
yeah.
You've got workers that love you
Yeah.
and work hard for you.
They do.
And you've got customers that continue to come back
Yeah.
to patronize your establishment.
Right.
You're doing a good job.
Right. I know, but it's just in the realm of like.
It's always nice to get that attaboy,
exactly.
you know?
So
Yeah.
like as a small business owner, you have to remember you are your biggest fan.
Yeah.
You know, because you're not going to get.
You've got to have the I'm great
You have to.
mindset.
Like I'm kind of a big deal. Like you put it on the desk and it's funny, but
yeah.
you are.
Yeah,
Like
well.
if you're doing it and
If you don't think you're good, nobody else will.
1,000%. Yeah,
That's
you
it.
are 1,000% right. Because and that's why you have to define what success is on the get go. Because
That's
if you don't know, hey, this is why I'm successful, then you're never going to be successful.
There you go, people. You've heard it from John
There you go.
Ramsey. Define what success is if you want to be successful. You have to define what success is. John, that was awesome, man. I tell you what, we've gone way over time, and I'm skipping through a few things, but I just want to head on over to planning ahead to what we have coming up next. John, I can't thank you enough for being on the show. This has been great. I wish we had another hour to go. Unfortunately, we don't. We are limited. So on our next episode, we're going to talk about your furry little friends and how to keep your pets safe. Pet safety. For those out there that have tuned in and continued to listen to us jabber on, special thanks to our show sponsor, Bolo Stick LLC, the door barricade device, providing safety and security to homes, schools, churches, and business locations across 42 states and internationally in 6 countries. Visit them at www.bolostick.com. And our new sponsor, Nova Coffee Company. It's not just another cup of coffee, it's another great cup of coffee. Learn more about them at www.novacoffeeco.com. If you'd like to be a guest on the show or have your business advertised as a sponsor, go to safety365.us and contact us via email, podcast@safety365.us. As always, thank you to the Trumbull Career and Technical Center for making this podcast possible. For Safety 365, I'm Bill Barna, reminding you to be aware, be proactive, and stay safe.